You ever watch any of these videos?
No.
Never. Hold on. Do you know who Father Mike Schmitz is? You know that name?
I know who he is.
Okay, all right. Hey, I'm Father Mark Mary.
I'm Brother Michaelangelo.
We are the Franciscan Friars of the Renewal, and this is Ascension Presents. Brother Michaelangelo is with us, and he's got a really sweet testimony, and he's going to share it. So we're going to get right into it.
So, Father Mark, often when I travel, people ask me what I did before I was a friar. And when I tell them I was a professional poker player and that, you know, my life was a lot different, they're usually pretty surprised.
So, when you say professional poker player, what does that mean?
So, it doesn't mean that somebody hires you to play poker, but it does mean you support yourself by playing poker. And so I did that for about 5 years. It started kind of toward the end of college and then continued after that.
Yeah. You still got it?
I think so, yeah.
All right. You still remember the percentages?
I think so, yeah.
I got a 10-7 offsuit, and you got an ace-8 suited. Any idea what are the odds?
I'm about I would say 63, 64% favorite.
All right. Like for real?
Yeah.
Like that's okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Someone should check it.
That's pretty good.
It's about that.
Check it. Let us know in the comments. All right. So you're playing poker. You're playing online, and you're just scraping by. You're doing all right.
Well, in the beginning, I'm doing pretty good, but by the end, I thought that's what I was going to do for the rest of my life. I was happy with it. I was looking at houses, and that's what I was going to do. Yeah.
And how old were you at that point?
I was in my mid-20s at that point.
All right. And then what happened from there?
Well, along with the poker lifestyle comes a whole other type of lifestyle. A whole the party scene and just really kind of indulging in life. You have a lot of extra money. You have a lot of extra time. I thought that when I had all these things, they would make me happy. So I just thought, I just need to go to the best parties and I need to take these great trips. And I really just don't want to work an office job. I don't want to sit in the office and work like my friends are doing, And so there's a few moments that I remember. One in particular, I was sitting on the beach and I was just kind of drinking and hanging out with some friends. And I was thinking, most of my other friends are working right now and they're in their desk, their office jobs at the desk, and I'm out here having fun. And it kind of hit me that, maybe I'm not the one who's really winning in this situation, because they're starting families and they're building their careers, and I'm still kind of messing around.
Yeah. So why wouldn't you be? So you're I don't know. I just picture like a Corona commercial.
Right.
I imagine that's what you're doing. You're on the beach. You're just chilling. You got like your pineapple or your coconut filled with like whatever with a little straw. Like it seems like you're winning. It seems like you're living the good life, and somebody else is like grinding. Like why wouldn't that be?
These people who seem to have the best life, they seem to just be partying and having a great time and a lot of money. They're not happy either. It's almost like a show, just like who can pretend to have the best life. There was another situation where I'm at a resort in Costa Rica, and I'm by the pool, and I'm literally in one of the cabanas drinking one of those drinks with the umbrellas. And I'm reading a book that someone gave me called The Imitation of Christ. And The Imitation of Christ is a serious book. And they're talking about how the spiritual life is what's important. The pleasures of the flesh are fleeting, and it's vanity. And so I'm looking at my life, and I'm looking where I am, and I'm reading this book, and I'm recognizing what's in this book as truth. Like I know there's something, truth has a ring to it, and it was hitting me hard. I
don't know. I think that like sometimes there's a concept of like a rock bottom, and like we all know that. But I feel like there's also, I don't know, for lack of a better word, like almost like an empty ceiling. Like you've kind of made it, you've got everything, and then there's just like, at least you think like everything you thought you wanted, but it's like, okay, like this isn't.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah. So you're kind of in this moment, like you're living, for a lot of us, is the dream. And you kind of have this sense of like, okay, maybe this isn't really what I'm made for, really what I want, really what's going to satisfy. Like where do you go from there? At
some point I was really praying about whether to give up poker or not, because I was winning money every month, and I was doing good things at this point. Like I was going to church, and I was going to adoration and reading the Bible. but I still had an uneasiness about playing. And there was a guy who I played with almost every day for probably a year or two online, and you kind of get to know the players online. And he chatted to me in the chat box, and he said, you know, I'm $70,000 in debt, and my wife is leaving me, and I'm getting a divorce, and I'm losing my house because of this online poker. And because I was asking for a sign and I was praying about it, I took that as that sign, and I quit playing poker from that day. My friends thought I was crazy because I was doing well. So just a little bit before that incident, I really took a hard look at my life, like an honest look at my life, and I looked at what I was doing and the behaviors I was engaged in, and how because of these behaviors I wasn't able to go to church at that point. I wasn't able to receive communion. And I took a look at my friends, and you can learn a lot by looking at your friends, and my friends were drug dealers and were criminals and other people without real jobs. And I remember just asking myself, like, how did I get to this point? And I remember kind of running out of the house, and I just had to get out of the house, and I just started walking. And I didn't know where I was going to go. Something inside, go to the church. And I went to church for the first time in a long time, and I knelt down in front of the Blessed Sacrament, which was exposed in adoration. And I said, if you can help me, I'll change my life, you know. And I felt peace, and I knew that he heard me, and I knew everything was going to be okay. And so I honored that, and I broke up with my girlfriend, and I told my friends, like, we couldn't hang out anymore. And I stopped the heavy partying, and I went back to church, and I just really poured myself into volunteer work and adoration and prayer. And that's when I was really able to discern a vocation to the religious life. But that attachment needed to be severed. You know, it was kind of like the last thing that was holding me back. Yeah. And in the beginning, it was tough, and I was in the confessional once or twice a week. You know, and slowly it became easier, and kind of the joy came back, and the peace came back that I had from my childhood. You know.
Brother Michaelangelo, is a basketball player as well, right?
I play ball.
Play ball a little bit, and you like to go down to the park and play a little bit, and so you picked up the nickname Mike the Monk.
Mike the Monk.
So how'd you come from, you know, Mr. Poker Star to Mike the Monk?
I wear my habit down to the court, and so the guys give me some. They tease me a little bit at first and say, you know, Jesus, come to play basketball. But after playing with them, they seem to open up. We win a few games, and guys start asking me, you know, questions. Guys who would never step foot in church. You know, how do you pray? What do I tell my daughter when she asks about God? You know, I don't know. And so God has used that, I think, to reach some people who might not normally be reached.
But I guess kind of like going back a little bit, like why a friar? Like, cause you know, there's other ways you could have gone all in for the Lord. Like, why do you think you came this path?
My mom asked me if I wanted to go on a retreat, so I went on a retreat with some Franciscans, and I knew it was like a vocation type retreat, but I thought maybe only 1%. You know, I really don't want to be a friar. I want to get married. But I went on that retreat, and it's interesting. I almost left because when I got there, I heard this interior voice, and it was like, "Run, get out. They don't know you." And I had my bags in my hand, and I literally almost ran out of the friary and took another plane back to Florida. And something said, "No, just stay. You're only here for 5 days." So I put my bags down, and as I was walking back downstairs, I came across a crucifix. And I looked at the cross, and there was just a moment of grace where I knew the church was real. I knew Jesus was with us. I knew that this was kind of the right path. Like, this was, the church, you know, was real. And so by the end of that trip, there was so much grace, and I had so much joy that I could barely sleep, you know. And that was the first time I really thought about being a friar. After that, I prayed about it for about a year, and I went on some visits, and I came to visit us, and visiting us, you know, in the Bronx, I just felt like it was home.
Yeah. Brother Michaelangelo just moved back from Honduras, just finished your first year seminary. And I don't know, I know you're a man of like many talents. You know, you're probably the second best basketball player. Am I right? Do you know who I'm thinking of as number one?
Maybe my brother.
Yeah, his brother's also a friar.
Also played poker, also plays basketball. Yeah.
He's a little younger.
He's younger, so I'm better.
Okay, all right. We got the basketball, we got the poker, we got the chess thing. But what it seems like you're most passionate about is living a life of prayer.
Yeah, especially those times of silence, those times of really just kind of slowing down, adoration have been the greatest moments as a friar, I think. And it's just really, spending time with the one you love and just really trying to get to know him and trying to share your heart with him. Yeah, you really come to realize that all the kind of the flashy pleasures, like the clubs and the parties, it's like there's a little spark of happiness or whatever, but then it goes away and it's not really real. It's kind of fake. And the happiness, the joy that lasts, really comes only from God, and I've realized that, and we tap into that through prayer.
Again, you are living a lifestyle a lot of people aspire to, but it sounds like in your real life experience, a life of prayer. Like you're poor, you're this poor dude who is celibate, who doesn't play poker anymore, who doesn't really know anything about what's happening in the NBA.
It's true.
But you have peace.
It's true.
I think it's Saint Augustine, or I think it was Saint Augustine, says basically if you have everything but God, you have nothing, but you have nothing but God, you have everything. Sometimes, right, you share testimony, and it's like, oh, crazy, you used to be a poker player, you were killing it, and you chose God, and it's like, wow, I can't believe you sacrificed so much. But that's missing the point, right? It's like, no, I just chose the better part. It's like I gave up some of this stuff, which again, it's kind of like sugar. It's like it's flashy but empty, and you found something, a greater richness, a greater wealth, right? And I think that's a good word. Is God is good, God is enough, God is real, and He fulfills us in a real way, and I guess don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of whatever invitation you feel, and definitely if you feel the Lord calling you to a life of a profound prayer, drink deep. So we thank you for watching. We thank Brother Michaelangelo for being with us. We thank his mom and dad for raising a good kid. That's right. 6 boys.
6 boys.
6 boys.
Thanks for your prayers.
Yeah. And thanks for being with us. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week. Remember, we're pilgrims. Somos peregrinos. Poco a poco. Vamos a llegar. We're going to make it. Bye, y'all.